Right now, something big is moving through Congress that every single person collecting a Social Security check needs to understand, and most people are getting only half the story. Here's what's actually happening. The Social Security Administration has already confirmed a 2.8% cost of living adjustment for 2026. That bumps the average monthly retirement benefit from around 2015 up to roughly 2071, meaning about $56 more per month starting with January 2026 payments. That part is locked in. Done. No application needed. But here's where it gets real. Senate Democrats introduced the Social Security Emergency Inflation Relief Act in late October 2025, a bill that would stack an additional flat $200 per month on top of that COLA increase, running from January through July 2026. If both kick in together, eligible beneficiaries could see a combined rise of nearly $256 more per month. Now, before you get too excited or too discouraged, the $200 boost has not been signed into law yet. Headlines and social media posts are mixing up the confirmed COLA with the unapproved proposal, and that's spreading serious misinformation fast. In this video, we're cutting through all the noise and giving you only the facts. What's guaranteed, what's still being voted on, who qualifies, and exactly what you should be doing right now to protect your benefits. Stay right here, because what comes next could directly affect your check. So, let's slow down and actually walk through what's happening right now with your Social Security benefits, because there are two completely separate things being discussed in the news on Facebook and on YouTube. And most people are mixing them together into one big confusing mess. When you separate them out and look at each one clearly, the picture becomes a lot easier to understand. And once you understand it, you can actually plan around it. So let's start with what is already locked in and already hitting your bank account, the 2026 cost of living adjustment. On October 24th, 2025, the Social Security Administration officially announced that Social Security benefits and supplemental security income payments for 75 million Americans will increase by 2.8% in 2026. On average, Social Security retirement benefits increased by about $56 per month starting in January. Now, $56 a month sounds modest, and honestly, for a lot of people collecting Social Security, it is modest. But here is something important to understand about how that number works, because it does not apply the same way to every single person. The 2.8% increase is applied to your specific benefit amount. So if you're receiving $500 a month, your increase is roughly $42. If you're receiving $2,500 a month, you're getting about $70 more. To estimate your own increase, you can simply multiply your current monthly benefit amount by 2.8% or 0.028, and that gives you your personal dollar boost for 2026. It's that simple, and you do not have to call anybody or apply for anything to get it. It happens automatically. Now let's put that 2.8% in some historical context so you understand whether this is a good year or a bad year for the COLA. The 2026 adjustment is slightly higher than 2025's 2.5% increase, reflecting moderate but steady inflation over the past year. Over the past decade, the average COLA has been about 3.1%, so you're a little below average this year, but you're in the ballpark. What made the last few years feel so unusual was the post-pandemic inflation surge. In 2023, seniors got an 8.7% COLA, the biggest jump in 4 decades, because prices were shooting through the roof across the board. Now that inflation is cooling off a bit, the adjustments are coming back down to more normal levels. That's actually a sign that the broader economy is stabilizing, even if it doesn't feel that way when you're at the grocery store or paying your electric bill. Here's where it gets a little complicated though, and this is the part that a lot of news headlines skip right over. The standard monthly premium for Medicare Part B, which covers outpatient care and doctor services, rose to $200.90 in 2026, up $17.90 from $185 in 2025. That is nearly a 9.7% jump. And for most beneficiaries enrolled in Medicare, that premium is automatically deducted directly from their Social Security check. Think about what that means for a second. You got a $56 raise from the COLA, but then $17.90 of that raise was immediately taken back out to cover the Part B premium increase. That means the higher Medicare premiums ate up over a quarter of Social Security's 2.8% cost of living adjustment for 2026. So if you're on Medicare, what you actually feel in your pocket is closer to $38 a month, not $56. And for people who receive a lower monthly benefit, say around $600 or $700 a month, that Medicare premium hike nearly cancels out the COLA increase entirely, leaving them with almost nothing extra at all. This is the third straight year that the Medicare Part B standard premium has risen faster than Social Security's COLA. The 2026 premium increase of 9.7% was more than 3 times the 2026 COLA of 2.8%. That's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. Healthcare costs are simply growing faster than the general inflation rate, and that gap keeps squeezing seniors who rely on Social Security as their primary or only source of income. The AARP actually surveyed older adults about this, and 77% of older adults said a 3% COLA for 2026 would not be enough to help them keep up with rising prices. That's a huge number. More than 3 out of every 4 seniors said before this year even started that they didn't think the increase was going to be adequate. And given what's happened with groceries, rent, utilities, and healthcare costs over the past couple of years, it's hard to argue with them. So that brings us to the second big thing happening right now in Washington, the proposed legislation that would put an additional $200 per month into your Social Security check. This is the part that's generating the most excitement and the most confusion online, and it's very important to understand exactly what this is and exactly where it stands right now. The Social Security Emergency Inflation Relief Act was introduced in the Senate on October 30th, 2025. Its central provision would provide a $200 per month economic recovery payment to eligible beneficiaries for a 6-month period covering January through June 2026. That's a temporary boost, not a permanent change to your benefit amount, and it is broad. The bill authorizes these monthly $200 payments for individuals receiving Social Security, supplemental security income, railroad retirement, veterans disability or pension benefits, or civil service retirement benefits. Eligible recipients must reside in the United States or its territories and may only receive 1 payment per month. Importantly, the payments are tax-free and cannot be counted as income for other federal benefits. That last part matters a lot. If you're receiving any kind of means-tested assistance, like whether that's Medicaid, housing assistance, food programs, or anything else, this $200 would not count against your eligibility for those programs. That is a big deal and something advocates specifically pushed for when drafting this bill. The bill was introduced by Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and co-sponsored by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senate Finance Committee Ranking Member Ron Wyden, and more than a dozen other Democratic senators. In her statement, Senator Warren pointed directly to the gap between what the COLA provides and what seniors are actually dealing with when it comes to the cost of food, health care, and everyday necessities. She called the legislation an emergency lifeline for people on fixed incomes. Congressman Horsford, who introduced the companion bill in the House, put it plainly: for fixed-income seniors and veterans struggling to make ends meet, an additional $200 a month can be the boost that prevents someone from rationing their medication or going without food. And that is not an exaggeration. That's the daily reality for millions of people in this country who worked their whole lives and are now trying to stretch a fixed Social Security check across an economy that keeps getting more expensive. Now, and this is where you really need to pay close attention, this $200 boost has not been signed into law as of the time this video was made. This is critical. The bill, known as Senate Bill 3078, has been referred to the Senate Finance Committee. That means it still has a long road ahead of it. It needs to clear committee, pass the full Senate, pass the House of Representatives, and then be signed by the president. Every single one of those steps is a potential hurdle, and given the current political climate in Washington right now, there is genuine uncertainty about whether this bill passes in its current form or at all. The reason this matters so much is that the internet is absolutely flooded with misleading content right now. People are making videos and sharing posts that talk about this $200 as if it's already deposited and done. It is not. If someone is telling you to apply for the $200 boost, run the other way. There is no application. There is no form to fill out. If this bill eventually becomes law, payments would be made automatically to people already in the Social Security and benefit systems. You don't need to call the SSA. You don't need to give anyone your personal information. Anyone asking you to apply for this money is attempting to scam you, plain and simple. The Social Security Administration will contact you through official channels, mail, or your My Social Security online account if any new payment program is approved. Let's also talk about what $200 per month would actually mean if it does become law, because the numbers are genuinely meaningful. For many seniors and fixed income households, $200 extra per month can make a tangible difference, enough to cover several weeks of groceries, partially offset higher energy costs, or contribute toward rising prescription or healthcare bills. Because the payment is not taxed and doesn't count against means-tested benefits, it would be a clean method of relief. Combined with the confirmed 2.8% COLA, Eligible beneficiaries could see a combined rise of roughly $256 more per month compared to what their check looked like at the end of 2025. That would be a genuinely significant improvement in monthly income for retirees who have been treading water for years while costs climbed. There's also a longer-term conversation happening in Congress beyond just this emergency relief bill. Senator Gillibrand introduced a separate piece of legislation called the Boosting Benefits and COLAs for Seniors Act, which would change the formula used to calculate yearly cost of living adjustments to more accurately account for seniors' actual expenses, specifically by using the Consumer Price Index for Americans aged 62 or older, known as the CPIE, rather than the CPIW used today. This is a reform that senior advocates have been pushing for years because the current formula is based on the spending patterns of urban wage earners, not retirees. Retirees spend a much larger share of their income on healthcare and housing, both of which have been rising faster than general inflation for over a decade. Switching to the CPIE formula would, over time, produce larger COLA adjustments that better match what seniors are actually spending. This isn't emergency legislation. It's a structural fix. But it shows that there is real legislative energy in Washington right now around Social Security reform, not just short-term patches. So where does that leave you today? What should you actually do with all of this information? First, if you haven't already, go to SSA.gov and create a My Social Security account. It is free, it is secure, and it gives you immediate access to your benefit notices, your payment history, your estimated future benefits, and the ability to see any updates to your account the moment they happen. You won't have to wait for a letter in the mail and wonder if you got the right amount. Everything is right there at your fingertips. Second, check your January 2026 payment to make sure the COLA increase was applied correctly. If you were born between the 1st and 10th of the month, your payment arrived on January 14th. If you were born between the 11th and 20th, it came January 21st. And if your birthday falls between the 21st and 31st, your payment arrived January 28th. Compare that January payment to your December payment and verify the math using the 2.8% calculation. Third, if you're enrolled in Medicare Part B, remember that the premium deduction is now $202.90. So your net increase after that deduction is less than the headline $56 number. Make sure your household budget reflects the actual net change in what you're receiving, not just the gross COLA number. And if you think the premium increase may have been applied incorrectly, or if you're on a low enough income to potentially qualify for Medicare savings programs that help cover Part B premiums, call your state health insurance assistance program, known as SHIP, for free, unbiased guidance. These are state-run programs specifically designed to help Medicare beneficiaries navigate exactly these kinds of situations at absolutely no cost. And fourth, keep watching, keep staying informed. The $200 emergency relief legislation is still alive in Congress, and whether it passes or not will likely become clearer in the coming months. If it does pass, you will not need to do anything. Payments will come to you automatically. If it does not pass, you'll know that too, and you won't have been misled by all the noise out there claiming it's already guaranteed. The bottom line of everything we covered today is this. You got a real confirmed raise in your Social Security check starting January 2026. It wasn't as big as many people hoped after years of inflation. Part of it was eaten by Medicare, but it is real money that you're now receiving. On top of that, there is a bill in Congress that could add another $200 per month for 6 months, tax-free, automatic, and broad-reaching. That bill is not law yet, but it is a real piece of legislation with real sponsors and real momentum. And beyond that, there are larger structural reforms being proposed that could permanently improve how your benefits are calculated so that every year going forward, your check does a better job keeping up with the costs that actually matter to your life. You worked for these benefits. You paid into this system for decades, and you deserve to know exactly what's happening to your money, not some watered down clickbait version of the story. That's what this channel is here for. If you found this video valuable, hit that like button and share it with someone you know who's on Social Security, because there are a lot of people out there right now who are confused about exactly what we just broke down together. And if you want to stay ahead of every Social Security update as it happens, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because this story is not over. And when something changes, you'll be the first to know.